Did you hear that that it was banned in Japan? Which is weird to me because I've seen like violent animes, video games, and horror films, whatever. I don't know why. It's got to be for violence, right? Can't be nudity. Can't be like something sacrilegious. I'm not sure what it is. Anyway, it's banned in Japan, which is kind of weird. The actress is Japanese. Anyway, there's some gameplay footage we're gonna take a look at. Ooh, the camera works crazy. Was that an auto-aiming feature? Is it like a lock-on thing? Right there. What is that? It's like a lock-on feature. That is unexpected. That's what it is, right? I can't tell. Maybe a difficulty setting? Oh, he's writhing. Boom, take that. That's a bit excessive on the blood right there. I don't think if you stomp someone, it's gonna go goosh. This is kind of cool. Hiding enemies in plain sight. You can't see them, though. They're right there, but you can't see them. What is this, like sewage? It's too green for sewage, isn't it? It's gross. Lick it. La, la, la. It's an awfully clean piece of machinery in that sewage. Look how dirty he is. Oh, jeez. Been through the ringer.
Get in there.
The quality's a little low, but it does look pretty. It does look pretty good. I have to admit, it looks nice. More goop. More goop. It's like, oh, that smells. It's like, was that meat or was that already there? Got his little shoulder flashlight here. Oh, we saw this in the trailer here. Oh, camera cut there. Wait, what did we just see here? Is that an LOD pop? Did we just see an LOD pop on a scripted event? The monster just like materializes. It's not even like, it doesn't like come down off screen like this. It's just there and just fades in. That's weird, right? It looks like an LOD pop maybe. That seemed kind of odd to me. Are there like misty ethereal enemies that's like materializing like that? I don't know.
What's that?
Callisto credits. There's that reticle again. Wow. Like, screw you. Dude, the camera's like, it's like really like, the combat is a lot more, what's the right word? I don't want to say sloppy, but it's like this brutal slugfest. Or something. That's the grip. One thing I would like to see is if the enemies play dead. That'd be kind of cool. They would occasionally play dead in Dead Space, but it had the same animation every time, so you could identify it. After you saw it enough times, you would start to notice that they would fake playing dead. Ew, gross. Oh, jeez. He's armor on him. That may mean that. Oh, that's the growl we heard in the. That's the exact same. That's the exact same growl we hear in one of the trailers before, right? Here. Or it's very similar. That guy has a helmet on. This guy has a helmet on right here. I wonder if that means he's like resistant to headshots on the sides and back, maybe, because you can stealth. But I mean, not in the front. I don't know. If the visor's down, maybe he's like, that's kind of cool, right? The gear that they're wearing affects their properties. Wow, they're like riding deaths, like, and it's just like, make sure they're dead. Stomp them, shoot them, punch them in the face. There you go. A lot of combat here. Okay, so here's the scenario, right? Okay, this is where the tentacle mechanic's gonna get spicy. We see this first enemy here. He picks him up and he throws him. That must do damage to their body. That's like body damage, and so the body triggers the tentacle action or whatever. And he mutates, or rather, the tentacles come out. Now they're in play. So if you shoot him, the mutation doesn't happen. But this other guy comes in front. Now you're distracted, right? So is it like, do you take your focus off the immediate threat and focus on the potential bigger threat? Or do you dedicate your time to the immediate threat? So I was wondering, like, how would this actually work? And now that I'm seeing this, it's making it more clear. In a scenario in which, like, the black tentacles come out of the monster, it means, like, a really dangerous mutation. You've got an enemy in the background who's got the black tentacles in play. Hypothetical mechanic, right? Or multiple enemies that have tentacles shown. But you've got an enemy or two in your face. That's a pretty tough decision to make. And you got to think, like, really quickly how you're going to dispatch the enemies. So that's pretty interesting, I think. And here they allow the mutation so you can see it actually in effect. Bigger guy. What is that reticle thing? Oh, we went for the legs. This is interesting. I wonder if you can hit low. He says nope. He blocks there. Jacob blocks. And he goes for a low blow. I don't think I've noticed that before. I thought he was just going overhead and smacking like kind of on the sides or the head or something like this. And this is like a sweep. This is interesting. Maybe there'll be like light, heavy, high, low. Anyway, we'll see. And that's kind of cool. Little for the drum beat at the end there.
Wasn't that something?
Whoa, isn't that something? This is kind of cool, right? We're on the moon. We see the shot of Jupiter. I'm not sure what the moon this is. What? Do I know my Jupiter moons? There's like, it has like 70 moons or something like that. But the four major one, I think, is like, is it Ganymede and Io or Io? Callisto, Titan. That's a Saturn moon, I think. That's in Saturn. Prison Doohickey, I think is the right word. And of course we see the eye of Jupiter, that sort of thing. So pretty cool. F6 tram station. I wonder if they'll have a tram system like Dead Space, and in the remake of Dead Space, they made it so you can either jump around, you can literally just like travel on foot or fly to the other locations, or take the tram. That's interesting. I'm glad they're making changes, as a side note, to the Dead Space remake. It's like a whole like biodome thing going on here. We got trees and stuff. It's pretty nice. Yo, you can't see a thing right here. Impale. He's spitting shrimp at him. Or it was one of the crawly things. Oh, snap. Oh! You can definitely tell it's on controller how slow they're moving the aiming around. Look at that big chomper. That went down surprisingly fast. Wasn't that the monster they showed in like the original trailer? One of the early gameplay trailers? He was like closing the hatch and it's like chomp 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 towards the camera. That went down in like 3 hits. That's a little disappointing, honestly. I was hoping that monster would be like a more difficult monster. Maybe that's like a smaller version, or it's like a lower difficulty. Probably lower difficulty. Health 35x. We've seen this before, the spinning thing. We saw this exact same area in a previous trailer. If it's the same exact footage, he's going to go to the left and stealth kill a bad guy. That guy right there. He's going to put a knife in the back of his head. I remember this shot. Now, if I'm still right, he's going to grab an enemy and throw him against these logs right here. This is the same footage. It's the same footage, I think. And here's a third prediction. The enemy to his left is a ranged enemy that will mutate, and it has that weird stiff animation that I made a comment about before. But the other mutations we saw in this footage were actually better. When I first saw that footage on the left, I thought to myself, that looks like it's a placeholder animation, because the mutations we're seeing on this in this footage now, that's not this particular shot, look better. He blocks it. That's right, he blocks with it. He's gonna kill the head. Now it's going to mutate. I was like, oh my gosh, it poisons it. But knocks him over. I was going to mutate about 2 seconds here. That's the weird stiff animation I mentioned. And he goes in the grinder, and I said, well, there has to be a limit to that. Now let's compare that animation to the one we saw earlier here. That guy right here is going to mutate. We're going to see 100% better. Compared to this, though, see how stiff that looks? I mean, maybe, I don't know. Is that supposed to be that way? It just seems like it's a placeholder. Then again, on a second thought, maybe there's unique animations per mutation to give you like a minor heads up. You get like a half second to a second of like, okay, it's that animation, so I'm going to deal with this threat. It could be that too. Notice the blood spraying out? Potential idea there. And I said this in the previous video, which was if you throw enough enemies into certain environmental traps, it creates another problem for you. The crutch that has a penalty. Oh, we've seen this before, yeah. This is the exact same footage. He goes on this big slide, and he gets cut in the fan. It just seems like that the combat is like, they're really aggressive. Glenn mentioned in an interview, some enemies were like a puzzle. Not like connect 3 in a row kind of puzzle. Like it has like a weird property that certain weapons are better against or whatever. So you can imagine these things combining like different types of enemies to create challenging combat scenarios. What sticks out to me the most right now is the fact that the enemies are really aggressive. Maybe a little more aggressive than Dead Space. The Necromorphs in Dead Space would sometimes kind of walk or creep in this weird crouched way, or they would run at you, or they would run in like a crouch state. There is a type of AI thing that's present in a lot of games. This is present in a lot of the Souls games. I think this was present in Dead Space, but I'm not quite sure. And it's this idea that's called polite enemies. What happens is when you get a certain threshold of enemies against you, the additional enemies will act polite and they kind of wait. Let's say the example is like 2 or 3 enemies that are challenging, and if a 4th one comes in, he just kind of does a spooky dance in the background, or he walks really, really slowly, and if they have the ability to attack, they won't. I don't want that in the game. I'd rather the enemies be tuned without that, with that not in the game being in mind. That's it. Did I say that right? We may be seeing that on this shot here. Jacob attacks this guy right here, and if you notice, he stays in the background after his tentacle appearance. So he's fighting this other guy, and he's just kind of dancing in the background. Keep an eye on this guy in the background here. He's just like going left and right and kind of like doing his little thing. And then for this demo purposes, they let it mutate. Like Jacob doesn't attack it right now. He's just letting it mutate so the player can see it, like the viewer can see it. Maybe it's the case that when a tentacle spawns, if the opportunity presents itself, the monster will become more passive. Because if that monster got up in your face, it would make it an easier target, theoretically, to attack. But if it stays in the back and it's behind some props or behind other monsters, it gets harder to hit. So maybe it's a feature of tentacles, maybe it's a feature of smart system, so to speak, trading off enemy aggression and that sort of thing. We don't know for sure, just some passing comments I wanted to share. The camera work is gnarly. This is a very interesting moment right here. And these reticles, what are these reticles? Oh my gosh, so many questions right now. It looks like they're either an auto aiming feature or they're a, in this moment, shoot here. It could be a, at certain moments, weak spots reveal themselves and you can shoot those for more damage, or it's like a follow-up. You do attack A that sends them flying and you can do a quick attack to do like a 1-2 combo kind of thing. What's very interesting here though, in my opinion, is this sweep attack we see. Jacob, he blocks this attack, so you can block. It looks like you can block or you can dodge. We've seen Jacob dodge. He does like a quick like whoosh, and then this is like a block where he's holding the baton or whatever that thing is right there to block it. And then he goes for a quick low attack and it goes for like the knees and it puts the monster on the ground. I don't remember seeing that before in other footage. So yeah, I want to see more on that as well. And again, we do have some stealth, which is nice. There wasn't really stealth in Dead Space. I think it's a good addition. The camera work is pretty nutty. It's like brr, brr. It's just like really jolty and fast and visceral and powerful. I'm not sure if it's too much or not. It's a lot. If they did it much more shaky, it might be too much. That's got to be an LOD pop, right? That doesn't make sense, what we're seeing here. It's literally materializing out of thin air. It's like a ghost. That's got to be a minor visual bug, because what LOD is, a lot of games will create multiple assets for the same thing you see in a game. So let's say, you're like on this cliff and you're like looking way down at like this enemy encampment and you see maybe some enemies and like some tents and like the fireplace. When you get closer, they will replace those assets with high resolution assets, and you'll notice other things that weren't there before, like boxes and like other little details. That's what LOD is, which stands for level of detail. So whenever those assets change or they appear, that's supposed to happen off screen where the player doesn't see it. But I have seen in games sometimes, this was classic in Elden Ring, the grass pops up a lot as you're running around. They can't render the grass out too far. It's too strenuous for the systems. That's what that could be. And it looks a little goofy here. It doesn't look right to me, because this is definitely appearing right in front of our face. Unless it's a ghost enemy. I'm not even sure what it is. Like a new enemy type. Maybe it's an enemy type that like hangs off the walls and that sort of thing, because we did see like the pods with like the snake thing that was like burp and like bit Jacob from like 20 yards away. And here we see this combat sequence here where it's just like you got to pay attention to the other enemies, like, because he goes for the shot here. He hits the guy a couple times, goes for a shot. That's gotta be an auto aiming thing. It looks like an auto aiming thing. It looks like his reticle just snaps to the thing. I can't tell though. Anyway, the point is, he gets into this tussle here with this guy, puts him over. He goes for a shot, but already the other enemy's jumping on him. So you got to be like aware. Sometimes it's not just going to be eliminate and then go to this other guy and eliminate. It might be like a couple hits and then refocus attention here, take his leg out, and then go back for this kill, then for that kill as like an optimal play. What does he get hit by exactly? The other guy on the ground gets back up. Boom, hits him right in the head. Trying to go for a leg. He throws him out to get some distance. Look at this. The enemy's still alive, right? He's still alive. He's going in for the attack. He uses the grip, grabs him, he throws him, and just lands on the ground, and he's dead, right? He throws him there. Takes care of this guy. That's a kill. And this guy's done. So they do take damage just by throwing him around a little bit. Just throwing them, not even against a wall or against something sharp or anything, just throwing them will do some damage. And you know this moment right here, That's gonna be if you get too low health, you don't button mash out. You're gonna that's gonna be gnarly. We're seeing more combat details finally. He's still in his prison suit. Is he in his prison suit the entire time? I didn't think to look at that until just now. I think so. This is before he gets his armor. So it's probably pretty early in the game. It's only a month away. Let's see what my calendar says. It is currently October 27th recording this. It's 5 weeks away. 4 weeks and 6 days. I'm excited.